Now, one way that you can increase the durability of wood is to apply a wood treatment. Treatment of wood can involve using solutions which make the wood poisonous to insects, fungi, or marine borers, as well as protect it from the weather. And we're going to talk about three types of treatment. We're going to talk about water-based, oil-based, and creosote. This is a whole list of different wood treatments. And so these are water-based wood treatments, and this is oil-based wood treatments. And you can see that, for instance, water-based, the drying time is quicker, takes longer with oil-based. The odor is lower, odor stronger. It's easier to clean up with soap and water. Oil-based requires solvents like mineral spirits and paint thinners, so additional chemicals to clean up, not just water. The environmental impact of water-based is better. It has lower VOCs. VOCs stand for volatile organic compounds, whereas oil-based have higher levels of VOCs, and that can contribute to air pollution. The water-based are generally less durable and may require more frequent maintenance, whereas oil-based are more durable and resistant to scratches, moisture, and UV rays. The appearance of water-based, it usually provides a clearer, more even sheen, highlighting the natural wood color, whereas oil-based often deepen the color and make it richer, and it's more pronounced, and it's a more traditional look. Water-based don't penetrate as deeply as oil-based, and so yeah, oil-based penetrate much more deeply. Water-based are typically less expensive than oil-based and generally more expensive on this side. The application is easier, of course, with water-based, but you might have to put multiple coats, and you can apply oil-based with a brush or cloth or sprayer, offering a longer open time for even application. And then water-based tend not to yellow over time, whereas oil-based tend to get kind of this yellowish hue as they get older. Now, creosote is a material that penetrates the timber fibers, and they protect the integrity of the wood from attack from borers, wood lice, and fungal attack. And generally, you're going to use creosote on things like railroad ties. So these are the things where you put these in the ground and then you run the metal rails of a railroad over top of them. Or, for instance, an electrical pole or a telephone pole. You're going to treat this with creosote. It's generally not something that you're going to put in like your house. You might have it out in your yard because it will protect the wood from these other attacks from organisms. The second type of timber we are going to discuss is man-made timber, and this is also known as engineered wood or composite wood. These are wood products that are made by binding or fixing strands, particles, fibers, veneers of wood together with adhesives or other fixing methods to create composite materials. And some typical examples would be MDF, plywood, and chipboard. Here we go. We can look at these right here. And they come in sort of two flavors. We've got laminated boards, which we'll talk about, and particle boards, which we'll talk about. This is plywood and glulam. Those are our laminated boards. And then the particle boards are MDF or medium density fiberboard and chipboard. Laminated boards are where you have sheets of materials made from layers of veneers, and we're talking about plywoods, not really glulams, but glulams are laminated boards. They're just not in sheets. Plywood is a composite material manufactured from thin layers or plies, and that's where this ply comes from. The layers are called plies. So they're thin layers of wood veneer that have been stacked and glued together in alternating grain layers. So if you have the grain running vertically on one ply, you would put the grain of the next ply horizontally, and you would switch that off for however many plies you glue together. This video is important to watch because you can actually see how they peel the different veneers off of a trunk of a big old tree. It's pretty interesting. They basically use a big knife. And I always think of this like when you cut cheese. We have a cheese slicer in my house where you pull it over the surface of the cheese and a ply of cheese comes off or a slice of cheese comes off. Glulam is composed of wood laminations or lams bonded together with durable, moisture-resistant adhesives. When they put these glulam beams together, they vary the direction of the grain again so that you get more strength in the beam itself. And you can see that on this one right here. You'll see that the grain of the wood is going in this direction, and then down here, it's going in the opposite direction. So this is the rainbow and the smile. And you're going to vary that all the way through. So rainbow, smile, rainbow, smile. And then, of course, this one in the middle is, but you can see that you're going to vary that. And the reason you do that is because if this wood was to cup, it's going to be counteracted by this wood cupping, and they're going to basically force each other to be straight. Particle boards are materials made from different sizes of wood chips, and they're glued together. And that's medium density fiberboard and chipboard. With medium density fiberboard, this is an engineered wood product made by breaking down hardwoods or softwood residuals into wood fiber, often with a defibrillator, combining it with wax or a resin binder, and forming it into panels by applying high temperatures and pressures. Essentially, what they're doing is they're using sawdust. So they're using a waste product in order to make these boards. Particle boards or chip boards are engineered wood products that belong to a wood-based panel manufactured from chips and synthetics and mostly formaldehyde-based resins and other suitable binders, which is pressed under a hot press. The particle boards are actually part of this wood recycling idea. So wood recycling is the process of turning waste timber into usable products. Recycling timber is a practice that was popularized in the early 1990s as issues such as deforestation and climate change prompted timber suppliers and consumers to turn to a more sustainable wood timber source. Lamination. This is covering the surface of a material with a thin sheet of another material, typically for protection, preservation, or aesthetic reasons. So you can see this is actually chipboard inside here, and it's got a laminated veneer on top of some type of wood. Actually, it might even be plastic. And most of the furniture that you see around schools is actually this type of wood. And for instance, IKEA uses this type of wood a lot. So they're going to have this laminated chipboard, and it's going to have a veneer on top, and then it's going to have the wooden chipboard inside. Sometimes that laminated veneer is wood. Sometimes it's a product called melamine, which is a really hard thermosetting plastic. Now, there are some advantages to using man-made wood. One of the advantages is something called dimensional stability. So this is the degree to which a material maintains its original dimensions when subjected to temperature and humidity. So man-made timbers are much better at staying the way that they were manufactured as compared to natural timbers, which of course you get your cupping and bending and warping and crooking and all that stuff. Also, man-made timbers have uniform properties. So this is the degree to which the material is the same throughout. So this is MDF, and you can see that it's the same all the way through. There's no difference between one part of the MDF and another part of the MDF. Where with natural timbers, you're going to get things like knots and different grains. And sometimes the grains are harder in some places and not as hard in other places. And so that's going to affect the properties. So quite often, furniture manufacturers would prefer to use man-made timbers because they're predictable. You know what you're getting all the time. Whereas with natural timbers, you really have to choose the correct boards or do a further milling process, and that can be expensive and hard. With man-made timbers, you can also get a greater availability of product sizes. So these are different pieces of MDF again, and you can get them essentially in an infinite number of sizes. I mean, within reason, but you can get them to be whatever size you want them to be. In order to get a natural piece of timber that would be the same size as, say, this one right here, it would be incredibly expensive. You would have to have, first of all, a very large tree, which there are less and less of as time goes on because we've cut them down. You would also only be able to use sort of the center cuts right here in order to have that very large piece of wood. So it's much more expensive to have a large piece of natural timber as compared to a large piece of man-made timber. Here's some disadvantages of both types of timbers. Man-made timbers look cheap because they're cheaper. Remember, they're made with waste products quite often, so they're cheaper. It doesn't react well to water, so, especially MDF and plywood, they don't react great with water unless they've been specially treated. They don't stain well, especially MDF. MDF will absorb stain, so it does not stain very well. Natural timbers are expensive. They don't have that dimensional stability or uniform properties, and quite often they're going to have an uneven absorption of treatments, so that's stains and varnishes. All right, that's it for timbers. Thanks for watching.